Alright, so last episode we told you that we're building a 50-foot aluminium catamaran in New Zealand. A lot of you guys asked fair questions, why on earth New Zealand? It's on the other side of the planet. We're living in Helsinki, Finland currently, and we are going to live here for a while, so why New Zealand? It's exactly 16,654 kilometers away from Helsinki, Finland, and it takes me 29 hours to get there by plane. When we started looking for a proper builder for a boat, we look at Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand. We prefer New Zealand or Australia. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive to build it there, but they have more solid references, and New Zealand especially is really well known for building aluminium hulls for their own climate there. But before we get started, if you want to follow our journey, we'll be publishing weekly episodes of the aluminium catamaran build, so consider hitting the subscribe button and please click the good old thumbs up button for the video. But now back to the episode. So, the design, the actual build of the boat, and things we want to change. What's the boat exactly, many of you are asking. To be fair, we're not designing everything from scratch like I mentioned in the last episode. Our builder has a base design, and now what we're doing, as we haven't actually signed the papers yet, that will happen in a month or so, but currently we're going through some phases of the design. First of all, our builder is talking to a naval architect to make sure that some of the standards in the hull overall match Lloyd's standards. So we are using Lloyd's standards for aluminium build as the kind of a basis to do the design and make sure that everything is solid, safe and whatnot. So that naval architect design review is ongoing at the moment, and it will probably mean that there will be some changes to the base hull. Once we're done with everything that the naval architect wants to change in the hull, in the structures, in the frames and everything, that's one part. And then we're going also through some of the broader design modifications that might impact the hull. Everything from how the cockpit looks like, how the bedrooms look like. We also got quite a lot of comments about our budget being pretty slim. As mentioned, we're aiming to prove that with less than $500,000 you can actually build a solid liveaboard boat. Not 1 million, 2 million, 3 million that everyone expects an aluminium boat build will take. And how do we keep such a slim budget overall? One of the key things is the design itself. Once everything is designed in CAD files. Everything from the exterior hull shapes, all that, and also the interior stuff. What it really means is that once we start the build, the first thing the builder will do is order all the aluminium cut to the exact shape and size that is needed for the boat. What that means is that when all the aluminium is shipped to the builder, they can just start welding it without custom cutting every single piece. Of course, in reality, there will be changes and so forth, so there's some back and forth and some manual effort needed as well. But the main structures, everything come as ready-made plates, shapes, sizes to the exact millimeter, so that the welding process can immediately start, keeps the cost down, keeps the labor minimal, because the labor is the expensive part, especially in New Zealand, and keeps the budget under control as well. More on the money later. We'll create a Google sheet that you can actually follow what our budget looks like, how are we tracking against it, so we'll provide full transparency on if we actually can meet that budget of ours. It's been also quite overwhelming with the build and everything, as we can change pretty much anything that we want. Yes, there's the base of the hull and base structures in place, but there's a lot of things that we can change. And once you start going through every single potential thing that you might want to change, it can be quite a time-consuming effort, but it's also super fun. When you're buying a boat, you just might walk up that, wow, this is a nice galley, or wow, this is a nice toilet. But in our case, we start looking at, oh, hey, we might want to change that in the toilet. Oh, that might mean that we need to change the bedroom door a bit, or change this and this. I suddenly realized that okay, the budget has changed like 10,000 euros because of it as well. So of course we need to be cautious in terms of the changes, and so that they are not kind of blowing out our budget and everything, but it's also really exciting to be deciding every single detail yourself. So the boat itself, the boat is going to be 50 feet, which equals to roughly 15.2 meters. Below the waterline, the boat is all Mumby 48, or almost Mumby 48. A builder is paying all the licenses and royalties to Tim Mumby for the design. Credit where it's due, although even below the waterline, they're doing quite a lot of changes. The boat itself, it's 4mm aluminium below the waterline and 4mm on the deck. It's not made to break icebergs or anything, it's really made to be a strong boat for blue water sailing overall. For all the nerds out there, we'll do plenty of more episodes on the hull build and everything once everything is finalized, and we'll talk about the details, but today we'll talk a little bit more about the broader changes that we want for the boat. Above the waterline, it's a whole different boat. The most part is of course above the waterline. That's where we live in. That's where boat design also has changed a lot since 2003, when the original kind of design was first time built. Of course it has also evolved during the times, but this is a really upgrade and way different boat above the waterline. That's where the smaller dark windows are that collect all the tropic heat, which we want to change. That's where the galley is down when we want it upstairs, and a bit smallish cockpit and different helm positions to steer the boat. Those are some of the things that we want to change. So our builder actually redrew the whole Mumby for his own sake. Now we're asking him to redraw a lot of it again, to make it ours, to make modifications that we feel that we want and need for the boat. Okay, let's go through the main moves that we want to make for the boat. Number one on the list will be almost all electric. We're going with electric engines. We'll just have a DC generator as a backup with some couple 100 liters of diesel on board. If you put that into a comparison, something like a Lagoon 450 has more than 1,000 or 1,000 liters of diesel on board. So we're really trying to minimize and focus on solar energy, big lithium batteries, hydrogeneration, electric engines, no gas on board of the boat, induction cookers, electric rails, all sorts of stuff. And one focus will be also 48 volt system. So the lithium batteries will be 48 volts, and we're trying to build systems that directly hook up to those. For example, air conditioning that runs directly off the batteries and doesn't require inverter. There are certain things like water maker that will most likely get to run through inverter, but trying to optimize the systems to 48 volts overall. About the galley next. Mumby 48 has a galley down. It's a pretty open concept, but still we like galley up way more. Luckily our builder actually already had designed the galley up, and we're just gonna do some modifications to it. We're now here at the summer cottage and we started modeling things, and this is how it looks like.
So you're coming in through the main doors here from the cockpit, and then you have our galley here. We prefer to get a U-shaped galley so that you can enter here and see all around. We're still figuring out the exact measurements and everything, and we'll build a bit of fancier layouts out of this, but this is how it looks right now.
Next up is toilets. The standard Mumby 48 actually puts both of the heads in the toilets and the showers at the bow of the boat, just after the watertight bulkheads. We're not the biggest fans of that, a few different reasons. In our master hull, it's way up forward. If we ever try to use a forward head while beating into a swell, you already know exactly what I mean. Not the most comfortable thing. On the guest hull on the other side, at the moment, in the current setup, the guests in the other bedroom would need to walk through the other bedroom to get to the toilet and do their business right next to it. We feel comfortable bringing that guest hull toilet a bit more midship. We'll sacrifice a bit of space and everything, but both of the guest bedrooms can use the same toilet and shower will make it quite small, and of course it's for us to use as well, really properly in the midship if the weather is not that great.
I needed to move inside for this. It was getting a bit cold and windy outside. Finnish summer showing its best sides. Rest of the Europe is struggling with heat waves and forest fires and everything, and in Finland it's 14 degrees and windy. It's supposed to be the warmest time of the year. Anyway, saloon windows and the saloon and coach roof in general. Mambi 48 has these weird, well, not weird, but a bit outdated alien type of rounded perspex windows overall. I'm not the biggest fan of those, few reasons. Looks, of course, is one of them as well, but the second is that those are really kind of facing upwards and they will soak up the heat in the tropics. It does also give a bit more spacious feel, and our builder has even more practical reasoning on why he had actually already designed those windows in a way that we also wanted. It's just easier to build. When you think about an aluminium build, the less rounded corners, the less rounded things you have, the less manual work you need to do. So you can just order them, cut to the shape, weld them in, and that's about it. No bending, no difficult welding, and everything saves time, money, resources, and everyone's happy. In addition to the windows, the coach roof is raised a little bit, and the whole roof for the cockpit and all that is way bigger, probably 3 times more bigger than in a traditional Mambi. The main thing is just to create a way more protected cockpit for the boat, and also so that we can fit a lot of solar on the boat. One of the things that we're also discussing with the builder is whether we should put double glazed windows to keep the heat out even more. I haven't really done my research on this topic. Any comments? What do you think? Would it make sense? Should we put a sauna in the boat? We're Finns anyway, so why not? One of the most important things for me personally was the helming and the steering position. Mambi 48 has the steering position placed quite a lot inside the cockpit. I'm not the biggest fan of that. You can't really see out that well. You can't see the sails that well. You're kind of half protected, half not. So not my favorite place. This was also one of the biggest fights with our builder and our designer. He was basically saying that the way you sail is that you put the autopilot on and then you kind of just forget about it. In our opinion, this is a performance catamaran, so I think we're going to be sailing quite a lot. And once you're sailing in the Asian region as well. You want to see all around clearly, and that's really important for me. Our ask was basically a few different things. We wanted to move the steering position a bit outward, kind of a traditional raised helm, so that you could see all around by standing up or sitting on a bench. Number 2, we wanted to open up the roof a bit more to make space for this, because Mambi has quite small openings in the roof. With that, we wanted to add a sliding door that you can actually close the cockpit roof whenever the weather is bad or whenever you're at anchor and you don't really need to see outside through the roof. One of the things that Mambi doesn't have also is that the lines are in multiple different places. Some are at the mast, some are back at the traveler, some are at the helm. Doing tacks, for example, you need to go all the way to the other side of the boat. Not super handy. One of the things I want to design and figure out how to do is bring all the lines to the helm. One of the coolest things that we are gonna add to the boat is the Versa helm type of a steering position. Versa helm is obviously a trademark of balance catamarans, and that's where the inspiration comes from. A few other boats have that as well, like the HH and so forth, but basically a swinging pedestal to move the steering position from the kind of unprotected one to a protected one. And that's essentially what we are achieving with the company called Jefa. Jefa is one of the Nordic leaders in all sorts of pedestal and steering wheel setups, and they actually are coming up with a new model that fits perfectly our use case of the swinging pedestal and kind of swinging steering wheel. When I emailed them with my hacky proposal of using their 60 degrees or whatever 45 degrees moving pedestal, they actually answered me that, hey, we are in process of building something new, this might fit better your use case. So worth of an email always to check, and I appreciate a lot the guys for a prompt response and giving me all the details, and we're going to be probably one of the first boats launching with this new part of theirs. So essentially we are building the Versa Helm type of a steering position where you can be at the raised helm. You have full visibility, you have all the controls, all the lines and everything there. And then if the weather gets really shite, you can just swing the pedestal inside to the cockpit level. We'll put extra, at least motor controls there or engine controls there. And then you can look through the windows and close the rooftop for full protection. It's not going to be necessarily the most simple thing to install, but with an aluminium catamaran with a bit of customization, we can do it quite easily. And the most important part of our design, a freshwater hose at the bow of the boat, next to the trampolines. You might guess that that's for washing the anchor. No, we've got 2 dogs that will travel on board. They're gonna pee and poo on those trampolines, whether you like it or not, and that needs to be washed away. So that's one critical item on our list. And I'm not joking. All the cruisers out there cruising with dogs are nodding right now. Those are just some of the design elements that we're doing. We'll go into much more details because kitchen, toilets, cockpit, all of those are worthy of an episode itself. If you like what you're seeing, if you want to see how 2 Finns and 2 dogs are going through this journey, hit the subscribe. Whether this was a brilliant idea or an expensive mistake, we'll find out together. See you next time, guys.